Look at this person, she gives everything she can to their kid, to her kid, to his kid. I can't. Their kids are going all variety of courses. They learn piano, they learn guitar, they speak 5 languages, they are doing very good academically at school. It can be a brand of chocolate, it can be a toy, it can be a game, anything. You should do this, they should eat that, you should buy this. You never yell. So every time you yell, you feel guilty, but because you also heard it 100 times, you shouldn't be yelling, you feel more guilty. Hello everyone, welcome to Release Your Mind once more. Today I would like to talk about another topic. First we're gonna talk about why being a mom is so difficult. Why it is so difficult. And after talking about the general difficulties, we're also gonna talk about why is it also extra difficult sometimes for the expat moms, moms who are living abroad with their families. So let's start. So first of all, it is always very difficult to be a mom. If you don't think so, you don't have to watch the rest of the video. It means that you're safe, you had a better time. But usually, I can easily say more than 50% of the time, it is difficult. Motherhood is difficult, and why motherhood is difficult? It is usually something to do with guilt. Motherhood comes with guilt. We hear it in the therapy room a lot. So why do we hear it a lot? Let's talk about that. We can easily say that in today's life, mothers are more responsible, more aware, more conscious about their decisions when they have a baby. That comes with great responsibility. So they realize when they are bringing a new life to this earth, they are really highly aware of the situation. That gives us great responsibility as women. So we realize that we have many hats in life, many roles as a woman, as a child of our mother and father, as a sister to our siblings, maybe big sister, maybe small sister, as profession, maybe we are a teacher, maybe we are a doctor, and also in other aspects of our lives. So it adds motherhood, and motherhood is usually kind of puts all these hats to a little bit of a side, and it basically consumes great extent of our energy, especially in the beginning, because it's new to us, because we usually think that we are very much prepared, we know everything about it, but then we usually realize that we are not necessarily that much ready. Theory and practice never matches, isn't it? So it makes it difficult. What else? Today's circumstances are much more different than 50 years ago. 50 years ago, 100 years ago, people were living in villages. They were living in big families all over the world. So it wasn't like only this little core family where there is mom, dad, and the child. Even in many circumstances these days, it is only the mom. Usually there are also many separated families, only one parent trying to look after the kid. So that also makes it more difficult. When we are living in inside big chunk of group, that makes it very easier at least, to rest, to give the baby to the grandma, to call the neighbor for some help, or to do the things together. Do you remember when we were living in the villages, what is common is when it is harvest time, everybody go to harvest, and some people, some women stay behind and look everybody's children, like 3 women stay behind and take care of 10-15 kids. They cook, they take care of them, they look after them, they wash them, they do everything basically. So that makes it kind of easier. Why? You can have the variety of the things. So one day you might be washing the clothes with another 5 women, and the next day you might be working in the field or looking after the animals, and the next day maybe you are looking after the kids. So it gives you some sense of variety. But in today's life, it is not necessarily like that. You have the same routine again and again, and it kind of makes us feel trapped sometimes, makes us feel like life is so monotone. We are trapped in it and we don't know how to get out, and we start to question, why did I do that to myself? I have to wake up at a certain hour, I have to feed the baby, I have to go to work, I have to come back from the work, I have to do the shopping, do the laundry, etc., etc., etc. Why we feel more trapped when we are a mother or a father? Because before that, nobody's depending on you. Before, it is only you, and you always feel like, I can always go away, I can always just drop and go. It's my life. I can just, if it is a business, I can quit from my business, I can walk away. But when there is a baby, that sense of, even though you will probably maybe never do it, in the sense of that feeling of freedom, I can just grab my bag, not even grab my bag, just get out of the house. You could. But when there is a baby, it kind of makes you feel stuck. Again, that is not from the books, this is from the therapy room. This is what I'm hearing from my clients usually, that I'm coming back to you with this practical information. It's not necessarily written in a science psychology book, but it is what we are hearing in the therapy room. So that's another one that makes parenthood more difficult these days than previous days. The third reason is social media, of course. Social media doesn't help, which means that people have these picture perfect lives, picture perfect videos on different channels that we are also using. So you see people's polished family photos, you see these parents who could be able to do all, know all, make all, so their kids are going all variety of courses. They learn piano, they learn guitar, they speak 5 languages, they are doing very good academically at school. Also, mom is picture perfect. They don't have 5 kilos to lose. They look beautiful. They don't look tired. They go to work out 3 times a week, etc., etc. So these type of false feed, let's say, false feed, it gives us the idea that we are not enough, which we already are feeling, because when you have 1, 2, 3 kids and another things also going on in your life, 24 hours is never enough. It's not enough. It's basically not enough. So when you see all these things, of course, it usually makes most of us depressed, anxious. It makes us feeling guilty. Look at this person, she gives everything she can to their kid, to her kid, to his kid. I can't. I'm exhausted, or I don't have the means, like maybe I don't have the money, or maybe I don't have the time, or I don't have the help. This is really difficult triangle to put together. Sometimes you have the money, but you don't have the time to take the kid out, and you don't have the person, you need another person to take the kid for you. And if you are working, you cannot necessarily make that connection with other moms. It's difficult. Or especially if you're an expat, if you don't know anyone, if you don't live, if you don't grow up in this neighborhood, it is also more difficult for you. So that's another reason, makes motherhood a guilt trip, we can say. One more reason, I can say hundreds of reasons, but I'm gonna only say some of them. Today's kids are more wishing, let's say, because they're also exposed to media. Of course, we love media. It gives us more information. You can type in anything and you can get any information you want, but at the same time, kids see things. They want this, they want that, and as soon as you want that thing, now they want another thing. And then as soon as you get that, they want another thing. So you feel like, is there ever going to be any satisfaction? And believe me, it is a very common problem among all over the world, among parents, basically. I don't know, because the kids are mainly too much exposed to everything. It can be a brand of chocolate, it can be a toy, it can be a game, anything, and the child can be in at any age. So it is also really difficult. You feel like you have to buy all these books in order to make your kid learn things more. You have to sign up for all these things that they should be learning academic, of these online courses, online things, etc., etc. So then the more they want The more you have to say no, you realize that how many times I have to say no, I feel bad. But in the past, it wasn't that much because people were not necessarily exposed to that much information, so their kids didn't want hoverboards. Their kids don't know about this game and that game unless the neighbor's kid getting a new bike or maybe new, I don't know, scooter or something. So that also makes our kids wanting more and more from us because they know more. Of course, in a sense it is good, but on the other hand it gives us again another guilt trip each time we have to say no, and each time we have to compare ourselves with the other parents, thinking that maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. So that's another reason we are feeling guilty. I can count many reasons, but I would like to count one last reason, and then I'm gonna finish it off there, because as I said, we can go on and on for 2 days probably why we are feeling guilty as parents. So this one is the information coming from the professionals like us. I'm not saying it is a bad thing that on the media, social media, we are talking about if you do that to your child will be traumatized. If you do this to your child, it's going to be bad for them. You should do this, they should eat that, you should buy this, this is much better than that product, etc. So in terms of products, in terms of how we have to behave them, how we should do our parenting. So in many senses we are exposed to this information, and it keeps saying to us, you are not enough, you should do this, you should do that, you should do this. You never yell, so every time you yell you feel guilty, but because you also heard it 100 times you shouldn't be yelling, you feel more guilty. Every time you curse you feel guilty, because not just you already know that you shouldn't be doing it, but also 100 times you heard about it. So these type of things makes you to go to the guilt trip again and again. I'm not saying these things are not true. I'm not saying, of course, you should be acting bad towards your kids, but the thing is, we are all human. So I would like to remind you, when we say these things, especially because I see teenagers a lot and the parents are coming, they're really overwhelmed and they're really sometimes lost all their energy. They're really sometimes fed up. That's absolutely okay. That's absolutely fine. We should take a breath. We should take a rest. We should sit down. We should also consider ourselves as well. You are a human being. So that doesn't mean that act bad to your kid. Please don't get me wrong, but it means that, let's say you have no energy left, it is 9 p.m, your kids are crying, and then you are hungry, you still haven't eaten, and you want them to go to sleep so you can eat maybe, or you can just continue, maybe take a shower, and you yelled at them, or you said something bad to them that you shouldn't be saying, and you know that very well that you shouldn't be. Does that make you really a bad parent? No, I don't think so. Because you said something once, twice, that doesn't make you a bad person, and that doesn't make you a bad parent. It is important, after you said that, how you deal with it. Did you say sorry? Did you explain to your child it's not their fault and try not to do it again? So these videos, these anything, articles we are putting out there as professionals, this is of course the utopic, in the utopic world, how it is supposed to be. And the more you get closer to this ideal parent, the more it is better. But it doesn't necessarily mean that everybody out there doing it 100% like it is said in the book. They're also struggling. Even the people who are reading the books also struggling, because life is not as in the books. Theory and practice doesn't match. So don't get it wrong. When you listen to that, of course try to act on it, of course try to improve it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that 365 days in a year you should be acting that way. Sometimes you cannot. You should, but sometimes you cannot. You just don't have the power, isn't it? So if you know when you act bad, how to make it up, how to apologize, how to talk to your kid and try not to do it again, how to improve out of it, That makes you a very good parent, believe me. And let's come to expats. For expats, it is even more difficult because expats have to do everything. People who live overseas have to do everything by themselves, especially my fellow Australians. If they're trapped overseas somewhere, if they're unable to go to their home country, Australia, and many people are trapped, let's not forget that as well. That's really difficult. There is a sense of insecurity all over the world because of Corona. You don't know if you could be able to go back to your hometown, if you could be able to see your mom and dad again because you're in a foreign country, and because of Corona, maybe the borders are closed, etc. So it is also difficult in such extraordinary circumstances already. But in general, being an expat parent always difficult because we don't have the support. Sometimes also we don't have the language. When we need to ask something, we cannot immediately go and ask to the doctor, maybe because we don't have the language. Maybe we have to ask someone to come with us to the doctor to be able to explain, or to the nurse to be able to explain. Also same things, maybe where we live, the parenting system, how people treat their kids are different than our home culture. So it also makes it difficult for us. We are unable to find it necessarily understandable. Sometimes we cannot understand why people are parenting their kids like that, and sometimes it might not fit with what is in our mind. So it makes it also more difficult, especially if the kids goes to school and if there are other measures or other cultures, microcultures going on within the community. It makes it more difficult. Let's say in some countries, many countries, people have play dates for small kids. But if you're not used to it, if you don't have the language of the country, it is really difficult for you to go and wait there for an hour, because people try to talk to you and you feel sweating, you are embarrassed, you want to talk, but you at the same time you want your child to learn the new language and to learn how to behave according to these countries' rules and regulations, etc. So you want to take your kid there, but you are having an anxiety yourself. It is basically almost a nightmare for you, or something unpleasant to go there. Obviously, the child also feels that, so it might be much more difficult for you. Also going out and choosing food. Sometimes you don't know food. I remember sometimes I spent an hour or two in the market to understand what should I have to cook for my child, which one is better, because this thing I eat at home is missing, this thing I give to my child is not available there, and also they say, don't do this, don't do that, it is not okay, etc. For example, I can give as an example. I am Turkish as a race, so my race is Turkish. In Turkey we don't have nut free, because we don't have people who are necessarily deadly allergic to nuts. So it was a very new concept to me. I was like, why nuts are bad? What should I have to do? Why is it bad? Is it because of the weather? It is because of the genes of these people who are living in this in Australia, in this country? And how can I apply it to my life when I have to take something, or even in the park when I give somebody's kid something? Of course I'm asking to the parent, but sometimes you don't realize there is nuts in it, and you were like, by the time you realize that, of course you ask to the mom, can I give it to your child? But at the same time you were like, even it needs adaptation. So on top of everything you are thinking, you have to think twice, sometimes thrice. And everything, you have to drop the kids, you have to pick up the kids on your own, you have to help them with their homeworks if they're small, you have to find people to help them, you don't know where to look. Some really basic things, it is really difficult. For example, in many countries now, there are these networks online. People send their second-hand toys, and you can just write your address and you can immediately find who is selling things around you. But if you don't know that, what would you do? Can you imagine? It makes your life difficult. If you would have known that, you will probably save half of your money. So simple things like that, knowing, make your life much harder. So let's leave it there. Of course, there are many things to talk about. I just would like to prepare this video as a gift to you. We are in the same boat as parents here. We will experience this, and we will learn to accept and live with it. It is part of being a parent. We will feel guilty. We can never do everything for our kids. But then, do they really need everything? Or do they only need just us to be? I think we all agree that they only need us. A mother who says no to everything is better than no mother. A father who says no to everything, sometimes maybe grumpy, is better than not having a father at all. Never ever forget that, okay? I think that is what I would like to share with you, because I'm getting these a lot. And yeah, it is a guilt trip, but we are here. We show up. Every morning we show up, right? Every morning we wake up, we say it's gonna be a good day, not a bad day. Today, I'm gonna survive. Today, I'm gonna try to do my best for my kids and for myself. There is nothing powerful than that, believe me. I wish you a very happy week, a very happy month, and hope to see you soon. Bye.